How do you make it clear that what you do is different than what they do? Stay tuned. Hey, it's Alzay Calhoun with Coveted Consultant. This video is about how to differentiate your consulting company because you are not like them. So here's the actual problem. The problem is that there's too many competitors in your niche, which creates too much noise. It's just a lot of talking going on without a whole lot of value going on. And what happens is you end up getting lumped in with everybody else. They figure you were just like the last guy they talked to. Now, if you're honest with yourself, you may really look, sound, and feel a lot like them. If you look at your website, it looks like theirs. If you look at your brochures and pamphlets, they look like theirs. If you look at your own team, looks a lot like theirs. If you look at how you describe your services, you sound a lot like them. So even though on the inside you know you're something different and you want to be something different, when you look at how you present yourself, truth is you end up being a lot like them. But you've gotten to a place where being status quo just isn't good enough anymore. You no longer want to be perceived as a status quo consulting firm, and you also don't want the status quo results anymore. What you're after is a higher level, more exciting, more expansive, deeper level of results and value to your clients and into the marketplace. So how do you separate yourself from this whole conversation and really get differentiated in the marketplace? I've got a 4-step process for you, and here's what it looks like. So here's how you actually want to be different, or here's the strategy in going about being different. Now, actually, first of all, warning. Warning is you got to think about your business differently. So what you've been doing before won't get you where you're trying to go. You're gonna have to adopt a different approach. So let's layer in that approach. So let's begin with the actual State of the Union. And much like the president does in the United States, he comes forward every year and tells us about what's going on with our industry or with our company. And you should do the exact same in your niche, in your industry. So you begin with the big problem. There's a big problem affecting all of us, and it deserves our attention. And sometimes you can really call it or think about it like an epidemic. It's no longer affecting one person or one part of the company. Now this issue is beginning to spread across the industry, spread across the country. So you got to confront it because it's a big thing, not a little thing. It's a big thing now. So then number 2, you got to be clear about what's at stake. If you do not solve this, what happens? And growing up, I played a lot of Super Mario Brothers, and so all of those games were based around saving the princess, right? And a lot of other video games, the kind of stories, hero-based stories, are based around saving the princess, right? There's always a charming prince who's going to save an awesome lady, and so it's that kind of thinking, right? If we do not solve this, then what happens to the princess? I don't even want to think about it, right? We should get out here and solve the princess. Another way of thinking about it, if you're in business, is you could bleed out. And that sounds kind of crass, but that could be the truth. If you do not solve this big problem, do not deal with this epidemic, you may very well bleed out as a business. And you've got to be comfortable enough delivering that message that, hey, you're threatened by this thing. Third is you got to figure out who's with you, because let's be very, very clear. What you do doesn't fit everybody best. It might be okay to some people. It might be good to some people, but is it the best for some people? And your job is to match up what you do to the very best client you serve. And to kind of help you think about that, the best people, the best clients for you already get it. And Seth Godin calls this a tribe, right? That's asking for leadership. Very specifically in your niche, your best client is already working towards solving this epidemic. They're trying to work themselves through it. Their issue is they've gotten stuck. So they're already applying effort. They're already applying time. They're already applying resources, money, people, in trying to solve for this. They got stuck. They got tired. They got worn down. And so you're looking for folks who already get it, who are already along the path. You're not looking for people who you have to convince that they're being faced with an epidemic. You shouldn't have to convince people. These are people where if you walk up to them and you poke them in that sensitive spot, they would go, ow. Those are the folks you want. They know they've got a pain, right? So fourth here is that you've got to reveal your secret weapon. So this whole conversation is about delivering high level of value, right? Specifically separating yourself from everybody else. So you're asking your client to invest, to work with you to solve a very big problem. Asking them to step into a black box and they'll just kind of figure out as you go along is not acceptable. You've got to show people there's a very special way you go about delivering on the solution to this problem. Number of steps, 4 steps, 8 steps, 12 steps, ends up becoming a productized service. If you've got this particular big issue, we have this particular big solution, and here's how we break it down. Here's what you can expect at every single layer or tier or milestone of our offering. You got to show them that secret weapon. So when you tie this together, here's a bit of how that feels. Client, I know you're dealing with a big problem. Actually, it's more like an epidemic in this niche. It's affecting a lot of people. Now, if you do not solve it, you are on a timeline to bleeding out. You're 6 months away, 6 years away from just being a non-competitor in this niche if you don't solve it. Now, I know you get what I'm talking about because you've already bought this program. You've already been to this conference. I've seen you here. I've seen you there. You're trying to get this thing figured out. Let me just be honest with you and tell you straight up front. We've got a solution for it. Now, you got to invest in it. It's not a cheap thing. But if you invest in it, here's what we do step by step. We do this thing, solves for issue 1. We do this thing, solves for issue 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And when you're done, you don't have this problem anymore. If you can articulate what you do in this way, in this style, you will never be confused for one of your competitors ever again. And you can now command, demand, and move on past whatever status quo that currently constricts you in your marketplace. Please enjoy these 4 steps, use them, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. It doesn't stand alone, it doesn't promote itself, it doesn't attract clients in some magical way. A real step-by-step content marketing funnel with your big idea, your transformational productized service that you bring to you, because this is the improved model about how to follow up and close these high-level